So the very first level in the second world is going to be called the Defense of Plainswood. You've probably seen by now all sorts of different colors and of weird smoky looking stuff that are on your screen. If you want to pay for that, you can. You don't have to. Specifically, the Apocalypse level, which is the one contained within here, is members only. But if you like what you're doing, you could buy that on your own time. So anyways, I want to remind you of something before we proceed. It's just the status bar that's on the bottom of your screen when you do go into a lesson. You'll need to know the options to zoom in and out. These levels are getting a little bit more complex than they were in the first world. So just gonna let you know to beware of the zoom. So I see a question here. It's not loading up. What's not loading up? CodeCombat? At all? Is it your computer or is it? Just giving you an error? If it's an error, just go ahead and refresh it and it should work, because I'm not entirely sure why it wouldn't. Oh, it froze? Have you done CodeCombat on this computer before? We'll try and open it on back up. That's kind of weird. I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, those of you just getting here, we are starting back at the first level of the second world, which is the, what is it, the forest? And the first level should be the Defense of Plainswood. Okay. Oh, you left Portal 2 on? Yeah, that will mess it up. And Portal 2 is an amazing video game for anyone who is intrigued. So we're going to go ahead and start with the Defense of Plainswood. I want to forewarn you that I've done all these levels in JavaScript. You will be doing these in Python. So I have to change every single time that I do a lesson, so don't worry. I might have items that you don't have equipped. That's okay. That's the cool thing about an RPG. You can basically do anything. All right. So, I guess before we get started, just a quick reminder on programming. Programming is just identifying a really big problem, breaking it into more achievable little chunks, and writing instructions to address these chunks. So the instructions is the code that you'll be working with. So the problem solving is the hardest part of coding. This level is where it starts getting really complex. So I am going to use the slides as a guide, but I do want you to think about the code that you're writing as you're writing it as you go further on in the future here. So the first level is going to be the Defense of Plainswood. Now this level you are trying to, it's basically, you're going to be making a fence to protect a town from, I guess it's ogres, I'm not sure which one it's actually going to be. Now, what you see here on my screen is JavaScript. Yes, I am back. My mom is still in the ICU, but she is getting a little bit better. And on that note, we will be having lab in Raleigh on Saturday. I will be back up there by then. And everything else is going pretty well. So thank y'all for those of you who emailed me. I got a couple parent emails wishing condolences for me, but she's doing okay. She's getting through it. So apologies for those in Raleigh who couldn't go to the lab that one weekend. And I hope that, I guess it was Mr. D, Mr. DeToy, Mr. Taylor treated you well. I'm not sure which of those guys taught you or not. So anyways, what you see on my screen is actually the correct code, but in the wrong programming language. This is JavaScript here. So what I'll be doing as I go through these levels is changing the JavaScript into Python, and they're very similar, so it's not like they're going to be totally crazy. But what I'm wanting you to do for this level is build a fence above and below this village. How come the cow's eyes are white? Zombie cows. That's all I can say. So where these X's are the coordinates that we want to build these fences at. So if you hover over these X's with your mouse, the top is going to be 40, 53, or 52. The bottom is going to be 40, 20. You can be a little bit off, but don't be too far off. So again, the code to build a fence is just going to be build XY. That's going to be the method. Your object is going to be self, since you're going to be the one building this fence. You'll need to enter in the X and Y coordinates. And you want to enter that you are building a fence. So remember, fence is a string. It's just a word. So you have to put these quotation marks around it. So let's see if I succeeded in this endeavor. Looks like I did. That nice done sign pops up. And no ogres are getting up in here. Yeah. So nothing crazy there. I do know that some of you are probably a little bit ahead. That's the cool thing about this software, is that there's activities that you can do always. Like, you don't have to be here to do this. But I will warn you, if you get too far ahead, a lot of the webinars may seem boring. So if you do it on your own time, try to do some of the side levels maybe. Just be cognizant to not get too far, you'll get confused. So that's all you need for this level here, just building these two fences. Nothing that you didn't do last level of the dungeon, which was, I think, just build a fence as well. So yeah, that was that. And it's looking like for the second level, you are going to get a brand new method. But you're not going to get a new weapon. It's just going to be something that will pop up. It's called say message. So just like before, it's just going to be self.say. Your character self is going to say, and then it's going to say a message. It'll make it say whatever message you put inside of it. But remember, you will want to add quotation marks around it, because any message is more than likely going to be a string. Okay, so that's automatically included. And it looks like we're also getting a new pair of boots this level. These boots are a little bit different because they don't just have you move up, down, left, or right. They actually let you move to certain X and Y coordinates that you can set on your own. The method is called move XY. Pretty self-explanatory, lets you move XY direction. All right. So let's go ahead, do a quick reminder here of the Cartesian coordinate system. I don't think you did Scratch, but X and Y coordinates, just you move however many steps in the X direction, how many steps in the Y direction. So I moved 2 in the X, 3 in the Y. The coordinate for there would be 2, 3. So that should be pretty easy. You should already know that. So horizontal is X-axis, vertical is Y-axis. You need both of these things to be able to move. So this is the first level where we really need to use the zoom function. The winding trail. Let me change myself into Python. And I do have the boots on. It just doesn't look like it. Is that the right one? Yeah, I guess it is. So let's go ahead and zoom out of this level here. We do want to collect these gems. And we do want to build a fence at the end of the path here. So the coordinates for, to do this, hang on one second, let me double check my notes real quick. Okay, I see. So the coordinates to do this are a little bit funky because you actually are going to, what I'm looking for, you can't directly go to your first coordinate. You actually have to go to an intermediate coordinate beforehand. The reason for this is that it will try to just go through these trees here. It might glitch out. It might work. I don't know. But we kept that here for a reason. So we're going to want to use the move XY tool to move ourselves first to the coordinate 34, 45, then to 36, 59. Not sure why we have to move there. It's weird. Anyways, then to 37, 13. And then we would like to build a fence at 76, 26, right where that X is here. Okay? So again, my notes are all in JavaScript, so I will put them into Python. Change our comments over. Change our self.move. So my first movement is going to be to 34, 45. Then to 36, 60. And to 37, 13. But from there, we actually don't have to move or do another move function, or sorry, a move method. We don't have to do another move method because we're telling our character to build a fence at a certain coordinate, right? So instead of moving our character to that area and then building a fence there, we can just go straight and say, we're going to build a fence there. We'll just trust that our character will indeed make it that far. Okay? So let me show you the code I just drew here. And go ahead, write this out, see how it's working, and we can proceed from there. I'm going to give you just a couple seconds to write this out. It's not too long, but as we go further into the lessons, these get a lot more complex. There's a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? There's going to be so many lines sometimes that you'll just be baffled. So I am going to continue, but definitely stop me if I am going way past speed-wise there. Yeah, I know there's different typing abilities and coding familiarities and stuff, but I'm sure some of you are also surpassed. I'm sure some of you are way farther ahead. Okay, so next one. Thumb biter. This one's pretty cool because you will have received at the end of the last lesson the Programmaticon 2. This actually grants you access to a couple different skills, specifically if and else statements, and it also will let you continue using the loop skills here. Okay. So the Programmaticon 1 only had a loop. This one has else and if else. So if statements are a really, really cool thing. Basically, an if statement says if it's true, then do something. So let's take a look at the first example that would pop up on if we were to check out the help. So the example, if you see an enemy, then attack it. So first, you will need to find your nearest enemy. If there's an enemy, attack the enemy. So if there wasn't an enemy, what would your character do? If there's an enemy, they're going to attack. If there's not an enemy, what will they do? Any ideas? I guess it's kind of a trick question because they're not going to do anything. So the reason for that is that if statements rely on Boolean logic, and by Boolean, it's a really cool word. I kind of like it. It reminds me of ghosts. Boolean is basically true or false logic. It basically says, I see a question here. It basically says, if it's true, do this. Still stuck on level, gems are death, but you bought steel armor, iron-headed, painted shield, and ruined sword. Oh man, that's awesome. That said, I do encourage you all to buy more. If you have the gems, I do encourage you buying new inventory. Your code will be different depending on what you have equipped. So I definitely do encourage you buying new armor to equip. On the lower levels, you might not be able to use it, but higher levels, most definitely. So anyways, Boolean expressions are used in conditional expressions. So like if a condition is true, then do this. So it'll run it only if the condition is true. You decked out your guy in knight's armor. Nice. Yeah, I have a very basic setup for my guy. But at this time, I do encourage you all to go, I guess I should run that real quick. I do encourage you all to go into your, did I just do Thumbiter? No, I'm doing it right now. Duh, sorry. Change it to Python. Okay. So this level, I do encourage you to go into the game menu and go to options. Scroll down and click on show indent guides. So this code is where we start getting, or start requiring it to, we start requiring indentation, meaning that if we use an if statement, we will need to indent what happens if it's true. Just trust me, you'll see what that means in just a minute, but make sure that you have show indent guide selected. All right. So while you're playing this, you're listening to the Carlton dance from Fresh Prince. Oh man, I didn't know y'all know about Fresh Prince. That's silly. So anyways, in this level, what you're trying to do, you're trying to lure the ogre at you because there are some bombs. If you try to fight the ogre, you're going to run into the bombs or the mines, whatever they are, and you will die. So you're trying to lure the ogre to you. So I think by default, there are two statements written down. Your computer died and decided it was going to update. Oh, I'm sorry, that sucks. I'm sorry, I really am, but it's okay. I think by default we have these two statements here. And we also have introduced a double equal sign, which means is equal to. All right. It's a little bit different than the equal sign when you do a variable. I'll explain more in just a minute. But when you're doing math, if 2 plus 2 is going to be equal to, double equal 4, we're going to say, hey, is 2 plus 2 equal 4? Is that true? Any ideas? I know you can do math, you're coding. Okay, well you're just being silly. 2 plus 2 is definitely equal to 4. So what's going to happen here, if that is true, your character will say, hey. Is 2 plus 2 equal 5? Oh. I just meant in this code. Is 2 plus 2 equal 5? Unless you're Radiohead, I really doubt it. So, because this condition is false, even though you said, hey, character, I want you to say this, you're not going to say that because this condition is false. If it's true, it'll do. If it ain't true, it ain't going to do. Okay? So line 4 is going to run. Line 6 is not going to run in this case here. So remember, the equal sign in coding is an assignment operator, meaning it assigns a value to a variable. Okay? So it's just basically saying age is 14. Now the double equal is an equivalency operator. Checks to see if the two values are equal to each other. So 3 plus 3 is equal to 6. Yup. Is age equal to 14? Yes, but only because you set age to be 14 using an assignment operator up here. This is an age, or sorry, this is a variable. This is an equivalency. Okay? So to solve this one, you want to make sure that your conditions being checked are true. So if it's telling you to do something like change the condition to make your hero say come at me, you want to change your condition to be true. Otherwise, your character is not going to say come at me. You then are going to want to add one more taunt to lure the ogre closer to you. So you want to do yet another if statement to make your character talk to the ogre. All right. So in this case, I erase all of my my comments. In this case, what I've got my character doing is first saying if 2 plus 2 equals 4, which is true, I'm going to say hey. If 2 plus 2 equals 5, if that were true, I would say yes to you, but it's not true. If 3 plus 3 equals 6, which it is true, your character is going to say come at me. And if 2 is equal to 2, which is my lazy version of this, then I'm going to say whatever you want. I'm saying I'm gonna get you. So for this, you're just using if statements to talk. Okay? Let me see if they have the full code here. I don't think they do. So you can just use this as a baseline here. So now to the gems or death level. In this case, I think it's this level where we're actually going to start using a new statement, I think. No, I guess it's at the next level after that. Okay. Make sure I'm in Python. Of course I'm not. Why would I be? Your goal is to grab all the gems. And my code's completely in JavaScript again. So I'm just going to show you via this method here. So what you're going to be doing in this level is moving yourself to avoid the mines and to get your gems. Now I think by default it's going to tell you to move to the first mines. That's only if 1 plus 1 is equal to 3, though, and it's not. So make sure that your condition says that, or make sure your condition is false. Make sure that whatever this is, it's going to be false. Can I copy paste that? Oh yeah, I might as well. But to be honest, all that you really need for this level is the stuff that's bolded. Because the false conditions aren't going to make your character do anything. Sorry, I cannot talk. They are not going to make your character do anything. So you can literally just omit them. Okay? So you want to move to the first gym, move to the second, find your nearest enemy, and then go to your last gym. In fact, adding that extra code is detrimental in this case because it's just wasting time to process. But you're learning, so that's why we have it on here still. I'm going to give you just a minute to see how you're doing, and then I'm going to give you a poll to see how I'm doing. All right, let's see how my pacing is today. Go ahead and answer this if you get a second. Okay, so mostly good. Some too slow, some no opinion. I'm going to probably continue at the speed I'm going at now then. I do appreciate your honesty here. How am I going to know if I'm going too fast since I can't see you, you know? So, all right. So hopefully y'all got this in. And now we get to something kind of interesting here for the 5th level. I think it's the 5th level. Let me see real quick. This PowerPoint's a little bit old. And some of these levels are now members only for whatever reason. Your next level should be Patrol Buster. Is that correct? All right, I'm going to assume it is. So again, I got to make sure I'm in Python. And look at that. So this one's interesting because you don't know where your enemies are. They're actually going to spawn randomly. Well, sort of randomly. So you can't tell yourself to kill an enemy at a certain position. You actually have to code for it. So we were talking about the find nearest enemy method before, but what's cool about it is that it can actually be used as a condition of an if statement. So if it finds an enemy, it's going to put values into it. That was sort of a weird way to put it. Anyways, if it finds an enemy, then the variable enemy is going to be set to true. If it does not find an enemy, the variable enemy will be set to false. Okay? So if there's an enemy, yay, we'll attack it. If there's not, the condition will be false, so we will not attack it. Okay, am I back? Can you all hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. My parents' internet is not as good as mine, and I'm about to go down again. Probably. Can y'all still good? It's still cycling. This is concerning. Okay, well, I'm just gonna keep going and hope to goodness gracious that I'm still on, because I don't know what's happening. Am I back now? Goodness gracious. I am so frustrated at this right now. I don't know what's going on. All right, well, hopefully it won't mess up again. Yeah. I'm at my parents' house, so they don't have very good internet right here. Now, where am I here? Boop. Boop. Boop, we've already done all this. Boop. Here we go. Patrol Buster. That's what we're looking at. All right. So that one's fairly easy. So hopefully y'all dealt with the pause enough to have gotten that down. This level did not used to be members only, but I believe the next one we're going to be doing, not syntax errors, is Thornbush. No, I think that one's also. Hang on. Let me see. It's not Thornbush. Village Guard. I know some of you are a little bit farther ahead, and that's just fine with me. You'll probably just have some difficulties. Oh, wow, you're way far ahead. Okay. So I think that your next level technically is going to be Village Guard. I know that this one is in Python because it didn't used to be a level at all. So that's a good point that the the pop-up gave us. From now on, the levels are randomized, so you're going to actually have to see if you win in real time. So you'll actually have to submit to see if you beat it instead of the go thing. So this level is going to tell you, okay, I got it. No, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, try that again. Sorry. So this level is actually going to have you patrol either side of this village that pops up, kill enemies if they appear, and then you want to return to the center of your map in between. Because you don't want to kill your villagers that are trying to run into the village. You just want to kill the ogres trying to kill your peasants. So everything that you write is going to be contained within a loop. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is move yourself to the center of your screen, which is roughly, or I guess not the center of your screen, sorry, to the X on the left side of your screen to check for an enemy on the left side. We're going to call that left enemy. I think this is actually already included in it, but anyways. You're going to see if there is an enemy. If there is an enemy, you're going to attack it. You're going to do the exact same thing now, except for the right-hand side. So you'll need to move yourself to the right-hand side to find or search for an enemy and then attack this enemy. So it's literally the same code with different coordinates in a different enemy variable. For example, I did right enemy. So it's cool, you can literally just copy and paste and just switch out the coordinates and change left to right. So again, you will have to submit it to see if you win, but I'm going to keep it up for just a second before I continue forward. And if you do want to go ahead, you're more than welcome to. So hopefully the comments also help you a little bit. Now move to the right entrance, use if to attack if there is an enemy. But you always have to set this enemy variable here to tell yourself if there is an enemy. I'm going to go ahead and skip it because I know I got it. Your next level should be back to back. I think Thornbush Farm is paid only or whatever, even though it didn't used to be. So in this level, what you want to do is attack any of the ogres, but you want to sort of have a baseline in the center. So you want to stay in the middle and defend. Is my audio back? Can y'all hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me right now. Okay. What is going on with this internet today? It's killing me. So anyways, you want to stay in the middle. If there's an enemy, you want to fight it. Simple enough there. Oops, I think I forgot to make it Java, or out of Java rather. But we'll see. Nope, it's good. Okay. So just like before, you're going to want to define a variable for enemy as, self.find nearest enemy. Now, here is really where we can see for the first time the vertical lines that we have enabled. This just says that you have indented your line enough for the game to recognize your code. Okay. So what we're going to say once we've defined our enemy variable is if there is an enemy, we're going to attack it. But what if there's not an enemy? What would we want to do if there was not an enemy here? Anybody have any idea? We're not going to attack nothing because we can't. Take a quick nap. We're not that lazy. We actually want to protect these guys. Unless you can walk and sleep at the same time. We're actually going to go back to the center point to protect our villagers here, okay? Now we're actually going to use the else statement for this. So remember that if has something happened, if an attack is true, build a wall maybe. You could, I think, but I think they block that specific item, so you can't just do that. Yeah, so for an if statement, if the condition is true, then it does something. But what if it's not true? What if it's false? That's when we use the else statement. So if it's true, we do this. If it's false, we use else and move ourselves back to the defensive position. The x is at 4034, so we'll need to use the move xy method. So why do we keep all this stuff in our loop? Why do we do this? Anybody have an answer to that? It's so we're always checking for enemies, and we will always, if we don't find any enemies, we will always go back to the center. Okay? I've already gone over that. And the next one we will get to is Ogre Encampment. If there's an enemy, attack it. If there's not an enemy, we're going to attack the chest. So I'm going to have you all do this one on your own if you haven't already. Chest is attackable, but it's actually going to be a string. So if you do want to attack the chest, you'll have to put quotation marks and type in chest. Oh, you're still on level 5? Should have told me I was going too fast, man. 3, 4. Patrol Buster, is that the one you were on? Village Guard. Okay. So if you did manage to follow, go ahead and work on that level, the Ogre Encampment. That's probably going to be one of the last things I do today. But I will go back over Village Guard because it is a little bit tricky, and I did go over it real fast, okay? So, for Village Guard, they start you off with a decent amount of code here. They start you off with this first paragraph here. Now let's read through that real quick. First, we start off with a loop. That means that we will always be moving back and forth to check if there are enemies while this code is running. They then give us a move XY method, which means that we're going to move ourselves to this position, which is right on the left side here, right on this X. So we move ourselves there, and we then define a variable called left enemy, which will be our self.findNearestEnemy. So if you remember what I was talking about earlier, a variable, or the findNearestEnemy, sorry, can be either true, meaning that there is an enemy, or false, meaning that there is not an enemy. It can be used as a Boolean variable here. So if there's a left enemy, meaning if left enemy is true, meaning yes, they found this left enemy, then we want to attack it. And we attack it twice because it takes 2, you gotta double tap, you gotta kill it with 2 hits. Okay? This lesson also gives you a couple of comments to help you out. So right here, we've moved to the left entrance, found if there are any enemies, and killed them if there are. If there are not, we skip on to the next part of our code. Now move to the right entrance. So just like we moved to the left entrance earlier, we're going to move to the X on the right hand side, which is at 6031. And we're going to do literally the exact same thing that we did before, where we define an enemy. So we are going to call it right enemy, just for continuity's sake. And we use the same thing where we find the nearest enemy. Now, if there is an enemy on the right, so if right enemy is true, if they exist, we're going to attack it. Now, if there's nothing after that, if we don't find an enemy, we're still within this loop here, so we're just going to kick back to the left side and keep on going in circles. Okay? So did that help you out, Andrew? It kind of helps a whole lot to just understand what every line of code is doing as well. Because right here, you just have a whole ton of code. It's like, well, what does this do? Why am I doing this? If you can read the code and understand why it's there, then you can replicate that in the future. And as the lessons go on, actually, you'll be using little bits of code from previous lessons, which is pretty cool, I think. You forgot how to define enemy? Oh. Like how to find an enemy or how to set a variable to be an enemy? Oh, how to set a variable? Yeah, don't forget to do that. Otherwise, you won't be able to to attack anything unless you attack its enemy type. But that's a lesson for a little bit later. So has anyone figured out that this, where was I at? The ogre encampment? I know some of you have because you've already gone a little bit beyond, but it's a pretty simple code for the ogre encampment. Yeah, I know you're beyond. I know you're like probably close to the desert. But this is a pretty easy loop here. You're just going to start a loop and find yourself an enemy. If there's an enemy, you want to attack it. If there's not, you want to attack the chest. Okay, so fairly straightforward stuff here. Now this is actually the end of this lesson, and I kind of don't want to go a little bit any farther ahead of this. So I will end class just a little bit early today, unless you have any questions. So just a reminder, Raleigh does have lab on Saturday. That's really the only thing I had for that. But if you don't have any questions, you are free to go. If you have questions, I will stay on for you for, the next couple minutes. And thanks a bunch for coming out today. I hope the other teachers treated you well. And I will talk to you Monday then. Do we need a Raspberry Pi on Saturday? I don't believe so. I think we're going to be doing some soldering stuff Saturday. So we won't necessarily need it, but it might be cool to have it. Just, if you're scared to lose it, then don't bring it. I'll have one there that we can mess around with. But yeah, it's fun. I like soldering a lot. And we're getting the soldering irons from Charlotte, which are the good soldering irons, which means that it's not going to be a pain to solder with. Yay! I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, no problem. So again, I will be on until 7 for any questions. Otherwise, you are free to go. If you have questions based on later levels, I may be able to address them, but maybe not. I would just need to double check that I do have them in my notes. Awesome. Yeah, no problem. All right, so you're not able to email the quadcopter info to you. I don't know why it would not work. What should I do? Can you bring it on a flash drive for me, Brendan? Okay, because that would be the best way to do it if email's not working. And again, there's no guarantees, but I'll definitely take a look at it and see if I can help you out with that, like I said. So yeah, you can bring it to next lab Saturday. Oh yeah, that would even be awesome too. You're welcome, Andrew. Sorry, I didn't see that. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But all right, I'm gonna head out for the day. Thanks a bunch, y'all.